us now look at what is an Apache Airflow. Apache Airflow is a workflow automation and scheduling system that can be used to author manage data pipelines. Airflow uses workflows made of directed acyclic graphs, popularly known as DAGs of tasks. This is from a definition perspective. The point to understand is that it's a kind of a scheduling system for the task. Because if you look at any of the automation process, there are going to be multiple tasks. So multiple tasks will be there, and some of the tasks will be dependent on other tasks, particularly when it is going to, if there is going to be an extract process, for example, if it's going to be an invoicing process. So invoicing process needs to happen only after orders are closed. That means shipment happens, then the invoice needs to happen. So the ordering process might be one task, and then the invoicing process, because invoicing cannot happen without the orders being closed. So each one, if you define as a task, then if you're going to automate it, so that means the closed orders, after the orders are closed, then the invoicing needs to be triggered. So that's from a definition perspective. Apache Airflow is a scheduling system. It's an open source. The point is it's an open source. Earlier, it's all licensed versions were there, different software applications were. Earlier, there used to be something called as AutoSys, which used to do this scheduling task, but there are those had license, because now the entire world is moving towards the open source concept. You have Apache Airflow, which is a workflow automation tool, which is widely used and widely accepted. The point is, again, Google Cloud has included that in their cloud platform as Composer, Airflow Composer they have. And yeah, I do have a course on that using Google Cloud Platform. But this one, if you're a technical person, wants to learn by doing something, then you can use the virtual machine concept, create the virtual machines in a Linux environment. On top of it, you can have the Apache Airflow installed so that you can learn the virtual machine concept. If you're maybe if you're good in Linux, it's not necessary you need to be good in Linux, but at least you can, that way you can also learn Unix commands, and Apache Airflow can be installed. And not only that, you can even have the database created using the Oracle Cloud instance. So all this can happen at a free of cost, as long as you just have a laptop or a desktop machine which can be, you're going to connect to the Oracle Cloud instance and install all these components, particularly the Apache Airflow. Apart from that virtual machine, you need to configure, and particularly in one of the hands-on, you need to have the database created in the Oracle Cloud instance. So coming back on the Apache Airflow, the workflows are, you need to have certain knowledge on Python, but these tasks can be of a bash script or Python function, or even when called DB function procedure can be called as well. So so bottom line is, it helps to automate scripts in order to perform the task. So let's take an example. You have some 5 tasks, different tasks. There is a dependency of one starting after the other. T1 needs to complete, and then T2 completes, T3 starts, and after T3 starts. So this is a dependency. So assuming each of the tasks is going to take 2 hours, and this task is happen only after 10 p.m. At the end of the business day. So 10 p.m. means each task is 2 hours each. If you're going to manually trigger it, somebody should ensure that it is manually happens, and 10 hours, that means it goes into the next day. However, if there are going to be, suppose assuming T1, T2, T3 are independent, there is no dependency. Only thing is, dependency is that only after completion of these 3 tasks, your T4 can start. So this means T1 can start at the same time 10 p.m, T2 can start at 10 p.m, T3 also starts at 10 p.m. But only thing is, after successful completion of all 3, your T4, T5 should start. So that means you can complete, because all starting simultaneously at the same point of time, T1, T2, T3, it can complete in at the most max of 2 hours, and after that these 2 tasks will start. That means the business expectation can be met in 6 hours. So that is where the Apache Airflow finds use. and that is what is I mentioned. Let's assume we identified T1, T2 starts simultaneously, and once they are completed, T4 starts, and after that T5. So this is what is given in this diagram as well, here as well. So T1, T2, T3, and then comes, so these are dependent tasks, and once it is successful, again Apache, it's up to Apache's Airflow to check the status. Yes, successful completion, then T4, T5 is going to start, and finally end T5 ends. So basically it's a task scheduler. T1, T2 are triggered at the same point once all of them complete, and you start with T4. And all this belongs to is what directed acyclic graph, because it should not come back. Should not be any kind of a looping back. So it's acyclic. So that's where it is called DAG. So ideally, I mean, 80 to 95% of the cases, generally it could happen in a data warehousing system where your business transaction could be in different application. And why different application? Because these days, if you look at it, there are a lot of mergers, acquisitions happening. Maybe one company was using a transactional system which is custom built, or it could be on Oracle eBusiness Suite. Maybe another company was using SAP, but sometimes, somewhere, the company got acquired or merged till they want to use SAP, the other one want to use the Oracle eBusiness. But at the end of the day, the top management guys wants to know the sales figure on a particular day. Naturally, one option is, end of the day, the manager has to send a report manually doing a collate. The other option is, yes, it is going to, from a SAP system, the sales data gets extracted, and Oracle sales data gets extracted from the two companies. One using Oracle eBusiness, the other one is using SAP. Data gets extracted, gets loaded into a common RDBMS system or a data warehousing system, and then the analytical processing or analytical reporting through which you will know what is that sales which happened on a day or a previous day. So when do you trigger these tasks? That is where you need to have the Apache Airflow. You need to have scripts which is going to extract the data from the database, and then it has to load into data warehouse database so that the analytical processing happens. So basically, in 80 to 90% of the cases in data warehousing system, these scheduling tools are used for data warehouse functions like extract, load, extracting, and you need to load. But in some cases, in other functionalities can be used, like as I said, when the order gets closed, you have a different system, then the invoicing, it needs to trigger invoicing. There also you need to build the dependency. So that's where, again, at a functionality perspective or a use case where Apache Airflow can be extensively used. So thank you, stay tuned. Let's now look at the installation of the Apache Airflow. So for that, yeah, you need to log into the instance, the compute instance which you have created, the Linux instance. I have already logged in, so just to pwd. So normally when the instance is created, it's on the home/opc. Next step is, yeah, we will create a Airflow directory. So make directory Airflow. So this is going to create an Airflow directory, ls-l, the directory is created. Change directory Airflow. So we are now into the Airflow directory. So before we actually install the Apache Airflow, Apache Airflow is a kind of a open source. So it's not something like it is completely packaged into a script. So in that case, generally, any of the commercial applications, yes, comes as a package. Commercial application in the sense, if you're going to pay license fees, yes, it's all completely packaged. It is much more, what to say, intuitive. It gives you a lot of steps involved. But that is where we have challenges with the open source, and particularly when the version is going to differ, and if there is a newer version coming in, the dependencies could vary, and you need to do some kind of an analysis, investigation while you make an install. So in this case also, there are dependencies, at least 3 dependencies I have found for the version that is 110 110.13 is the current version. In December 2020 we have 1.10.13. There are three dependencies I have found. One is this one, gcc plus, and then python dev, and there is one more, this one, cattrs. So I'm not going into the details like why that is required, because if you start investigating, yes, we might miss out our focus, which our focus is of course having the Apache Airflow installed. So if this is not, if some of the dependencies is not there, the Apache flow, installation fails. So we need to naturally have these dependencies installed. So let's first install this dependency. So sudo yum install. Yum is for the installation part. So do the install. So this is getting installed. It will take some time before it successfully gets installed. Now this installation is installed successfully, the first one. The second one is of course sudo m install python 3. Python 3 is what is better to use with the Apache Airflow, because Python 2 is almost at the end of its lifetime. So we need to use Python 3. So let's get, installation of the second dependency. By the way, this file is there in the resources section, so you can always download it and install, make the copy paste for the installation. So you need to give yes here to have that installed. So this again will take some time, not much. So yeah, this is pretty fast and it is complete. The next one is of course through the, when you want to do a pip3 install, you need to go into the root folder. So for that, yeah, you need to do a sudo bash to get into that. Sudo bash. So that will take you into the root of it. So it is a special privilege. That sudo is a special privilege. So you go into the sudo bash and install the last dependency. And of course, this is through the pip3. Let's do this install as well. The third one, the dependencies. So it is pretty fast. So 3 dependencies we have now installed. So after this, we'll be installing the Apache Airflow. We'll see that in the next presentation. The Apache Airflow is of course a little bit, it takes about somewhere about 5 to 10 minutes depending upon the link speed and so many other factors. So we'll see that in the next presentation as how to get the Apache Airflow installed. Stay tuned. Let's now do the Apache Airflow install. So that is through the pip install Apache Airflow. So just check the pwd. You are in the home APC Airflow. So we'll do the, and you need to be on the root folder. You should have the privileges, sudo privileges to perform this installation. That is pip3 install Apache Airflow. So this is of course quite a long running script. So this is going to take some time. As I said, maybe about 5 to 10 minutes depending upon the link speed, because it has to download. If you look at it, it has to download from a particular website, and then it will start installing. So that is where it's going to take time. First it downloads and then it starts the installation. So probably what I'll do is I'll just pause this video and regroup again. One point to notice, it's important that after this installation, it should give you it has installed properly. So yeah, I think it's quite fast. I think so we could wait for some time because all this, if you look at it, it has downloaded all this, and now it's in the process of installation. So let's wait and see how this goes. Yeah, successfully, if you look at this, successfully installed Flask, and if you look at it, here it is, the Apache Airflow 1.10.13. So that is installed. And if you look at it, this is one more thing, Gunicon, this one I'm talking about. Gunicon is a kind of a web server on which Apache Airflow is hosted. The others are all there. NumPy is a kind of a Python package. So when you do this, many of the times, if you don't have the dependencies installed, you'll find this at this stage, it throws out an error that we couldn't install a certain packages because this one is not available, or you might get an error message. So ideally, it should complete without any errors for Apache Airflow to be up and running. So now we need to do some of the configuration. We'll see that in the next presentation. So as of now, we have installed the Apache Airflow and the dependencies as well. Thank you. Stay tuned. Okay. As I said, you have the Apache Airflow, which is mentioned over here, which is successfully installed, Gunicon, and various other dependencies are all installed fine. So now, we can come out of the sudo. So, the privileges, sudo privileges. So exit. So now if you do pwd, yeah, we are still inside the Airflow. So if you look at the Airflow, we don't have any of the files inside the Airflow. And yeah, now we need to have the databases created, the necessary databases created. So for that, you need to create Airflow. Initdb is what you need to execute. So let's execute that. So Airflow as such comes with the SQLite database. So just for learning purpose, that is enough. So first you need to initialize the database. So let's execute Airflow initdb. So that's the command. So it says done. Now let's say ls -l. You have all this airflow.config and airflow.db logs. Airflow.db is the database file, and airflow.cfg is the configuration file. We need to make a slight modification. That is, the load example needs to be made false. That is, there it is, generally it is true. So you need to make it false. So for that, yeah, nano airflow cfg. So open that. If you come down, you'll have somewhere true. Just make it false. So where is it? Did I miss it? No. So here it is. So you need to make this load example as false instead of true. So we'll make this as false. So Control X to exit and Y to save it. So let's check the timestamp. Yes, the timestamp has changed. So we should have this should have got reflected whatever the change. So you want to recheck where the cat airflow, which will give all the listings. So you can check whether the change has been effected. So here it is. The changes is all saved fine. So we are all set now. Next one is we need to start up the scheduler and then the web server. So that is where once you have the scheduler is where it is going to pick up the files, the DAC files for processing. You need to have the scheduler, and the web server is of course for the you want to access from the URL. You need to have the web server up and running. So two components, one is the scheduler and one is the web server. So this is a command. We'll see that in the next presentation. Thank you. Let's now kickstart the scheduler and then followed by the web server. So to kickstart the scheduler, all you need to do is airflow scheduler. So this will kickstart the scheduler. So this is now up and running. And now the other one is, the next one is we need to kickstart the web server. So here airflow web server, it will work when you say airflow web server, it will run on port 8080 is what to the external world it will start. So we will start this one, airflow web server. So if you look at it, couple of points to note here is, if you see here, it's running on Gunicon web server with the port 8080. So this is also running. So you can access from go to the local host 8080, then you'll have the GUI coming up. Just if you want to test it whether it is running, you can do a curl http localhost 8080 from the Linux command prompt itself. You can do that. Example, I just want to test from here, curl http localhost 8080. So you'll not get the GUI, but if you look at over here, it gives the details, because that is where the get http, the details have come. So that means the web server is up and running, the scheduler is up and running. You can access it through the browser, through the localhost 8080. If you do that inside the network, then you can see the GUI of the airflow. So now we have successfully installed the airflow, Apache airflow inside the Linux machine in the virtual environment. It is up and running. So stay tuned, we'll progress further. Thank you.